All right, guys, welcome to the video for Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. And if you want to save yourself some time, please feel free to check out my quick pick recap at the end of the video. It basically has all of my picks for this video in about 30 seconds. Of course, I'll include a timestamp in the comments section below. All you have to do is click it, and it'll take you right to the recap. But if you want to stick around and enjoy the show, my name is Brock Page, and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. I also sell my personal sports bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. And your donations on that site are the only reason why I'm able to do what I do here on YouTube day in and day out. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. And what I do on BrockPage.com is actually share with you which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally. Now, I currently have over 670 members who are signed up and active on that website right now. And if you want to see my current sports betting record, you can do that for free right now as well. It's located right on the homepage. Now, real quick here, guys, just a friendly reminder, if you sign up for a membership here today on my safe and secure website, you're going to get access to that membership every single day all the way through the end of June. And if you're worried about me seeing your credit card information, just keep in mind that I utilize the Patreon platform. And that's a massive, safe and secure crowdfunding website who handles all of your private and personal information. The only thing I see is your name and email address. I will never come in contact with any of your credit card information or personal information. There's no way for me to see that. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're going to start off with the Rangers taking on the Guardians, Game 1. And that's going to be a 3:10 Eastern first pitch. Cleveland's minus $120, totals 8. Cal Quantrill for the Guardians, John Gray for Texas. Now, Johnny Gray's got just one win on the year through 41 innings of work. He also comes into today's ball game with an ERA above 4.80. And even if Johnny has a good outing here today, the Rangers have had a tough time getting on base. They actually have one of the lowest team batting averages in the American League. They're taking on Cal Quantrill here today, who's had a handful of respectable starts. Cal's got himself a 3.52 ERA along with a 1.19 whip. When it comes to hitting the baseball, this Cleveland lineup is leading the majors in fewest strikeouts at the dish. Jose Ramirez has 14 home runs along with 53 RBI. Ramirez is actually in the top 5 in the bigs in home run, RBI, and OPS. Meanwhile, Andres Jimenez is hitting .307 with 29 RBI himself. Now, total-wise, Cleveland's gone 60% to the under in their last 10 outings. They also saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with Texas fall under the total. Meanwhile, the Rangers are currently 15-9 to the under as the official road team. I'm going to lead toward Cleveland minus $120 and the under 8 runs. Next contest, D-backs, Reds, 6:40 p.m. East. Cincinnati's minus 135, totals 10. Graham Ashcraft for Cincinnati. Tyler Gilbert for Arizona. Now, Gilbert's already 0-2 on the year through just 14 innings of work. The lefty also comes into today's ball game with a 5.02 ERA. When it comes to offensive production in this one, the D-backs have definitely had their issues at the plate. They strike out a whole lot at the dish, and they're almost dead last in team batting average. They're taking on Graham Ashcraft, who's actually off to a real nice start. He's 2-0 already through just over 17 innings of work. He also has a 1.53 ERA and a .96 whip. Meanwhile, offensively, the Reds have done a nice job putting runners across the plate. Sorry about that. They're actually amongst the best in the National League in scoring on average per game. Brandon Drury leads the club in homers with 10 of them. Meanwhile, Kyle Farmer is leading the squad in RBI with 32. And when it comes to the numbers, Cincinnati's 17-9 to the over at the Great American Ballpark. Meanwhile, Arizona went 15 and 11 to the over when they bat first. I'm going to lean towards Cincinnati minus 135 in the over 10. Next matchup, it is going to be Nationals Marlins, 6:40 p.m. East. Miami is minus 185, totals 8.5. Edward Cabrera for Miami, Yohan Adon possible for Washington. And if Adon does take the mound, that's certainly bad news for Washington fans. I don't know how this guy continues to stay in the majors. The righty's just 1-9 with a 5.98 ERA and a 1.69 WHIP. Meanwhile, offensively, the Nats are having a pretty tough time hitting for power. They're currently in the bottom 5 in the bigs in home runs per contest. They're taking on Edward Cabrera, who's yet to allow an earned run in limited action. The righty's 1-0 through just 6 innings of work and has 9 strikeouts already. When it comes to offensive production, the Fish have scored 22 total runs in their last 3 victories. Garrett Cooper's hitting .302 with 26 runs batted in. Meanwhile, Jazz Chisholm has 8 home runs and 31 RBI himself. Now, total-wise, Miami's 16 and 10 to the over at Lone Depot Park. Meanwhile, Washington went 60% to the over in their last 10 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward Miami minus 185 and the over 8.5. Next ball game, Rangers Guardians game 2. That's going to be a 6:40 Eastern first pitch. Now, game 2 is currently off the board. No confirmed starter yet for Cleveland. Taylor Hearn possible for the Rangers. And until we get ourselves a confirmed starting pitcher for game 2, unfortunately, I'm going to take a hard pass on that ball game. But at least I saved yourself some time and did not handicap the entire game and then tell you I was going to take a pass. And we're just right off the gate. We're not betting that one. We're not even leaning toward a play in that one. All right, next ball game, Cubs, Orioles, 7:05 East. Both teams are minus $110, totals 8.5. Keegan Thompson for Chicago, Kyle Bradish for Baltimore. Bradish has had a tough time in the bigs. He's just 1-3 with a 6.82 ERA and a 1.55 WHIP. He's also backed by a Baltimore lineup who strikes out a whole lot at the dish. They also rank amongst the worst in the American League in team batting average. They're going up against Keegan Thompson, who's a perfect 6-0 for the Cubs, along with a 1.99 ERA. And in their last 4 victories, Chicago's put up 25 total runs offensively. Now, Patrick Wisdom also has a dozen home runs on the year, along with 31 RBI. Meanwhile, Frank Schwindel's second in RBI with 30 of them. When it comes to the scoring, Chicago went 60% to the over in their last 10 outings. Meanwhile, Baltimore is 7-3 to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Cubs minus $110 and the over 8.5. Next ball game, Tigers Pirates 7:05 East. Detroit's minus $1.25, total 7. Tarek Skubal for the Tigers, Jose Quintana for Pittsburgh. Now, Quintana's had a real nice start to the year despite his record. The lefty's got a 2.32 ERA along with a 1.23 WHIP. The Buccos also won 5 out of their last 6 ball games, and they did a nice job of scoring during that stretch. They actually averaged 5 runs a game during that span of ball games. Now, Key Brian Hayes, he's batting nearly 300 for the Buccos, and he also has 13 doubles on the season. Meanwhile, teammate Brian Reynolds, he actually leads the club in home runs. Now, they're taking on a Tigers team on the other side of things, who's pretty much got the worst lineup in the majors right now. These guys are currently dead last in home runs and OPS. And no real surprise here, guys. The Tigers score fewer runs a game than any other team in the majors. Now, total-wise, the Tigers went 18-7 to the under as the official road team. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh, on the other side of things, they are 18-10 to the under at PNC Park. I'm going to lean toward Pittsburgh plus 105 and the under 7. Next ball game, it is going to be Cards taking on the Rays, 7:10 p.m. East. Tampa Bay's minus 150, total 7.5. Jeffrey Springs for Tampa Bay, Dakota Hudson for St. Louis. Now Hudson's off to a pretty nice start for St. Louis. He's 4-2 on the year with a 2.06 ERA. Meanwhile, offensively, the Cards can pretty much hang with the best of them. These guys are in the top 5 in team batting average, and they're also scoring just about 5 runs a game. Now, Paul Goldschmidt, he's in the top 5 in the majors in batting average, RBI, and OPS. Meanwhile, Nolan Arenado has double-digit home runs on the season already as well. They're taking on a Tampa squad on the other side of things who actually lost 4 out of their last 7. And they've struggled at the dish a bit. These guys currently find themselves in the bottom 10 in team batting average. And they're actually amongst the worst scoring teams in the American League right now. Now, total-wise, Tampa Bay is 61% to the under at Tropicana Field. They also went 7-3 to the under in their last 10 outings at any location. I'm going to lean toward the Cardinals plus $1.25 and the under 7.5. Next contest. All right, now we got the right one here. I'm talking about the Athletics taking on the Braves, 7:20 p.m. East. Atlanta's minus 245, totals 8.5. Kyle Wright for Atlanta, Cole Irvin for Oakland. Now, Irvin's actually done a pretty nice job this season despite how bad the A's are. The lefty's got himself a 2.96 ERA, and he's only lost 2 games this year. Now, the A's, believe it or not, are also one of the better run line cashing teams on the road this season. They're actually 19-6 against the number while traveling, and that's good for 76% in that category. Now, Seth Brown's currently leading the club in RBI right now, while Sean Murphy, he's right behind him in that same category. They're taking on a Braves team on the other side of things who actually struggles cashing in on the run line themselves. Atlanta's currently 10-18 against the number at Truist Park. That's good for just 35% in that category. When it comes to offensive production, these guys are striking out more times per game than any other team in the majors. Now, total-wise, the A's are currently 60% to the under when they bat first. They also saw 3 out of their last 5 interleague games fall under the total. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Oakland plus 1.5, keeping this one close, and the under 8.5 runs. Next contest, it is going to be Yankees Twins, 7:40 p.m. East. Now, this game is also off the board right now. Jameson Taillon for New York, Cole Sands possible for the Twins. And through just 8 innings of work in the bigs, Sands has garnered himself an 0-1 record and a 7.88 ERA. Now he's going up against a Yankee lineup who hits more home runs per contest than any other team in the bigs. Aaron Judge is leading the majors with 21 home runs. He's also first in the league with a 1.059 OPS. Meanwhile, Giancarlo Stanton and Anthony Rizzo, they have 35 RBI apiece. And even if the bats go cold for these guys for some reason, which I don't think they will, but the Bombers do have Jameson Taillon on the mound here, who's been lights out this year. He's actually 6-1 with a 2.30 ERA and a .90 WHIP. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Yankees winning this one outright for some money line cash. Now, of course, probably going to be an expensive price point when the line does come out. Maybe want to include that in a multi-game parlay or something like that. All right, next ball game. It is going to be Mariners Astros, 8:10 p.m. East. Houston's minus 260, totals 8. Justin Verlander for Houston, Chris Flexen for Seattle. Now, Flexy's off to a rough start this year. He's just 2-6 with a 4.55 ERA and a 1.41 WHIP. The Mariners also played their worst baseball on the road. Out of their 33 road games this year, Seattle's gotten the W just 13 times. They're taking on a Houston club who's winning nearly 70% of their home games, and they actually do a nice job hitting for power. Matter of fact, these guys are right behind the Yankees for most home runs per contest. Yordan Alvarez has 16 home runs along with 108 total bases. Meanwhile, Jose Altuve and Kyle Tucker, they each have double-digit home runs themselves. Now, when it comes to the pitching in this one, Justin Verlander is, well, Justin Verlander. You can only compare him to himself because he's just that good all the time, every year. He's 6-2 this season with a 2.23 ERA and 61 strikeouts. Now, the crafty veteran is also coming into today's ball game with a very impressive .80 whip. Now, total-wise, Houston's gone 15-6 to the under at Minute Maid Park. They're also 60% to the under in their last 10 outings at any location. I'm going to lean toward Houston -1.5 and the under 8 runs. Next ball game, Dodgers, White Sox, 8:10 p.m. East. The LA Dodgers are -130, totals 8.5. Mitch White for Los Angeles, Michael Kopech for Chicago. And even though Kopech's looked really strong, the righty has just one win on the year through 45 innings of work. Now, the White Sox have also lost 6 out of their last 9 ball games, and they have a losing record at Guaranteed Rate Field. Now, one of the Sox biggest issues this year is their inability to score. These guys are currently in the bottom 5 in the league in runs per game, and they're also amongst the worst in the American League in OPS. Now, they're taking on Mitch White, who's actually done a pretty nice job in limited innings. The righty struck out 22 batters in just over 20 innings of work, so he's averaging a little bit over a strikeout an inning. He also has a whip of just 1.21. Now, the Dodgers have also been catapulted by incredible hitting. These guys are leading the majors in OPS, and they're also averaging more runs a game than any other team in the majors. Mookie Betts is currently leading the ball club in batting average and home runs. Mookie's batting .303 with 16 homers on the season. Meanwhile, teammate Trey Turner, he's 5th in the bigs right now in RBI with 44 of them. When it comes to the scoring in this one, oddly enough, the Dodgers are currently 67% to the under as the official away team. Meanwhile, Chicago's gone 14-10 to the under at Guaranteed Rate Field. I'm going to lean toward the Dodgers -130 and the under 8.5. Next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Blue Jays taking on the Royals, 8:10 p.m. East. Toronto's -220, totals 8.5. Alek Manoah for Toronto, Brad Keller for Kansas City. Now, Keller's just 1-6 on the season with a 4.15 ERA. This Royals lineup has also been pretty bad. They're scoring only 3.7 runs a game, and they're in the bottom 3 in home runs. Now, they're taking on a really tough opponent in Alek Manoah here today. He's 6-1 with a 1.98 ERA and a .91 whip. The righties also fanned 57 batters in just over 63 innings. Now, offensively, the Blue Jays have done a pretty nice job hitting for power. They're currently in the top 10 in the league in home runs, and they're also amongst the best teams in the American League in offensive OPS. Vlad Guerrero leads the club in home runs with 13 of them. Meanwhile, teammate George Springer, he's right behind him with 11 homers. When it comes to the number, 8 out of the Blue Jays' last 10 ball games got over the posted total. Meanwhile, Kansas City, on the other side, they went 60% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward Toronto -1.5 and the over 8.5 runs. Next matchup, it is going to be Phillies taking on the Brewers. And that's going to be an 8:10 Eastern first pitch. Now, Milwaukee's -120 at home, totals 8.5. Jason Alexander for Milwaukee, Ranger Suarez for Philadelphia. Now, Suarez is 4-3 on the year with 42 strikeouts. And speaking of strikeouts, this Philadelphia pitching staff is nearly leading the league in striking batters out per contest. Lots of Ks for these guys. But it's actually this Philly lineup who can be very explosive in certain spots as well. They're currently in the top 10 in scoring and OPS. Matter of fact, Bryce Harper's in the top 5 in the league in that OPS category. He's also in the top 10 in home runs and RBI, doing it all with a busted arm. Meanwhile, Kyle Schwarber's leading the team in home runs with 14 of them. Now, they're taking on a very green Jason Alexander, who has just 7 innings of work under his belt. And during that short time, the righties already got himself a whip of 1.43. Now, hitting-wise, the Brewers have actually struggled in several areas as well. First, they strike out just way too much at the dish. These guys actually find themselves in the bottom 5 in strikeouts per game at the plate. And in addition to that, they also have one of the lower team batting averages in the National League right now. When it comes to the total, 3 out of Milwaukee's last 4 home games did get over the number. Now, the Brewers also went 7-3 to the over in their last 10 at any location. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Philadelphia saw 3 out of their last 4 on the road get over the total themselves. They're also 80% to the over in their last 10 at any location. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Philadelphia plus $1 and the over 8.5. Next contest, it is going to be Red Sox taking on the Angels, 9:38 Eastern start time. Boston's minus 135, totals 9. Garrett Whitlock for Boston, Reed Detmers for Los Angeles. Now, Detmers has just a couple of wins through 45 innings of work. He also comes into today's ballgame with a 4.20 ERA. Now, this Angels organization is really in shambles right now. They haven't won a game since May 24th, and they actually lost a dozen straight during that time frame. And even though hitting is typically this team's strong suit, these guys are striking out more times per game than most teams in the majors right now. Now, they're taking on Garrett Whitlock here today, who's shown some really good stuff in the early going here. The righty's got a 3.02 ERA through over 44 innings of work. He's also fanned 44 batters and has a whip of just 1.10. And even if Whitlock does struggle here today, he's backed by one of the better lineups in the entire league right now. Boston's currently in the top 3 in team batting average, and they're also scoring just about 5 runs a game. Now, J.D. Martinez is also one of the league leaders in hitting with a 358 batting average right now. Meanwhile, teammates Rafael Devers and Xander Bogaerts, they're both batting well over 320 respectively. When it comes to the total in this one, oddly enough, guys, Boston's 60% to the under while traveling. Meanwhile, the Angels on the other side of things, they are 17-12 to the under at home. I'm going to lean toward Boston minus 135 and the under 9 runs. Next contest, it is going to be Mets taking on the Padres. That's going to be a 9:40 Eastern first pitch at Petco Park. San Diego's minus 130, total 7.5. Yu Darvish for San Diego, Taijuan Walker for New York. Now, Walker's been solid for the Mets here this year. He's 3-1 with a 2.88 ERA. He's also backed by one of the best lineups in the league. New York's leading the majors in team batting average, and they're nearly leading the bigs in scoring on average per contest. Jeff McNeil's batting .314 for New York. Mark Canha hitting .302. But the big bopper this year has been Pete Alonso. He's got 16 home runs and 54 runs batted in. He's actually leading the bigs in that RBI category. Now, he's taking on Yu Darvish here today, who's actually got an ERA that's crept up above 4 right now. The Pods also lost 5 out of their last 8, and they're having some difficulty at the plate. San Diego's in the bottom 5 in home runs per game. They also have one of the lower team batting averages in the National League. Now, total-wise, San Diego's 17-7 to the under at Petco Park. Meanwhile, the Mets saw 3 out of their last 5 on the road fall under the number themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Mets plus $1.10 and the under 7.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the video. It is going to be Rockies taking on the Giants. That's going to be a 9:45 Eastern first pitch. San Francisco's minus 225, totals 8. Carlos Rodon for San Francisco, German Marquez for Colorado. Now, Marquez has been pretty terrible this season. He's just 1-5 with a 6.71 ERA and a 1.62 whip. The Rockies have also lost their last 4 straight, and they win only 31% of their road games. They're taking on a Giants club who won 5 out of their last 8 themselves, and they do a nice job hitting the baseball. Matter of fact, these guys are in the top 5 in homers, and they're averaging nearly 5.5 runs a game. Now, Jock Peterson's got 13 homers on the year along with 30 RBI. Meanwhile, Wilmer Flores is leading the club in runs batted in with 31 of them. They also have Carlos Rodon on the bump here today, who does nothing but strike batters out. The lefty's got 70 strikeouts on the year already, and in addition to that, he also has a 3.44 ERA. Now, total-wise, the Giants are 16-8 to the over at Oracle Park. Meanwhile, Colorado went 60% to the over in their last 10 at any location. I'm going to lean toward the Giants minus 1.5. And the over 8 runs. Of that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at patreon.com/BrockPage, where I'm still 3-0 in my last 3 $1.99 daily best plays. I like Cleveland minus $1.20, under 8 runs in Game 1 of the doubleheader against Texas. Give me Cincinnati minus 135, over 10 runs against Arizona. I like Miami minus 185, over 8.5 against the Nats. I have no pick available for Game 2 of the doubleheader between Texas and Cleveland. Give me the Cubs minus $1.10, over 8.5 against Baltimore. I like Pittsburgh plus 105, under 7 runs against Detroit. Give me the Cardinals plus $1.25, under 7.5 against the Rays. I like Oakland plus 1.5, under 8.5 against Atlanta. I'm leaning toward the Yankees winning their ball game outright for some money line cash against Minnesota. I also like Houston minus 1.5, under 8 runs against the Mariners. Give me the Dodgers minus 130, under 8.5 against the White Sox. I also like Toronto minus 1.5, over 8.5 against Kansas City. Give me the Phillies plus $1, over 8.5 against Milwaukee. I like the Red Sox minus 135, under 9 runs against the Angels. Give me the Mets plus $1.10, under 7.5 against the Padres. And with my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder, guys, that if you do sign up for a package here today on my safe and secure website, you're going to get access to that membership every single day all the way through the end of June. Give me the Giants minus 1.5 and the over in that ball game against Colorado. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on patreon.com/BrockPage. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And guys, if you want to get access to every single bet, every single package, every single day, you may want to think about signing up for my board member tier package. Not only do board members get access to the board member tier package bet itself, you actually get access to every single bet, every single package, every single day, all the way through the end of June. The board member tier is an all-inclusive membership. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Tuesday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.